Hey, I've just started two new books, both of them audio. I'm just looking at the bird who just stopped by to have a little bird bath. Yeah, I have started La Rose by female author whose name I can't even remember right now. But that's the joy of this channel. I don't even have to do Adrian Rich, I believe. No, Adrian Rich is the poet. God damn it. I'll have to look it up. Louise something. Yeah, which it's started out pretty brutal. A guy's hunting. He brings his rifle up, one fluid motion, pulls the trigger, at which point there's a brief blur and he's killed a neighbor's child. Uh, and yeah, I guess it's gonna be the fallout of that. I think everybody involved is native, and there's definitely the use of both native and I think Catholic spirituality of dealing with that. And there's just also just the very human reactions, most notably a mother who's seems to be taking out a lot of that on grief on a daughter who survived. Um, an interesting practice of bringing another child over to the house and saying, "Our child is your child now," uh, as sort of replacement child. I don't know. I don't know. It's one of these things of is it just is it dishonoring the child's memory? Is this fair to the child that you've brought over? Is this fair to the poor daughter who's getting feeling the brunt of her mother's anger and grief in this situation? Um, and I guess there's a thing of just like if you believe you're in an ordered universe, how do you deal with it when ordered or if there's meaning in the universe? Like, how do you deal with the fact that one of those meanings is your child has been killed in a senseless accident? Senseless, yeah, I have to go with senseless accident. So yeah, it's heavy stuff. Definitely going to be something to think about. The other thing is the clvrngs. Anthony Trollope, Steve Donahue does his is still continuing with his Lonely Trollope's novels of Anthony Trollope that are standalone. This one being Henry Clavering has been rejected by a woman who's like, look, you're poor, I'm poor. I'm gonna go marry some guy who's rich to actually make my life, you know, I want that. I want material support. I'm not quite sure what else maybe she wants. We'll find out as we go along. And now he's kind of deciding. He's deciding. He's going to have to decide what he wants to do in his life. And it's funny because his father is clergy, and he's decided he's not going to go into clergy. It's like, well, do you have doubts? So it's like, well, I probably would have doubts if I became a clergy because then I'd have to actually think about it all the time. And the clergy guy's like, well, you wouldn't have to think about it that much. And it's funny because the father has like been reprimanded by the local, is it bishop, because he's been hunting, and it's like the bishop's like, that's not really proper activity for clergy, and they're really pissed off at that guy. Feels like he's totally slammed him down for something he should be allowed to do. Um, so yeah. So it's interesting, amusing Trollope with things that like I'm very familiar with. The idea of like marrying for money versus marrying for love. Usually the sensibility of marrying for money. Um, yeah. So those are two audiobooks I have just started. Oh, here comes somebody. I will stop.